Welcome, Sarah and Kristen, to your presentation on Flok, and we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say for our community.
Thanks for having us, Kathy. So I just want to start out, we'll do quick introductions, and then we'll run through some slides. And if there are questions, we're happy to take them as we go along or at the end. If you're watching this when it's later recorded, we'll share our email addresses. If you have questions, you can reach out as well. My name is Sarah Chamberlain. I'm the Executive Director of Flok, which was formerly known as National PKU News. So for about 33 years, that organization supported primarily the PKU community, but also other inborn errors of metabolism, with a specific focus on dietary support, the low protein food list for PKU and how much Phe. But really, we've made a change in the last year to Flok, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, I want have my colleague Kristen Vonnegs introduce herself, and then we'll get started.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Vonnegs, and I'm the Director of Community Engagement at Flok, which I am so grateful to be in that role because I love getting to know people and seeing everybody work together and share. And I just, there's a lot of magic that comes through that. So I entered the community of inherited metabolic disorders 17 plus years ago. I have a 17-year-old son who has PKU, and I have worked, I teamed up with some other moms about 15 years ago to start a local organization in Georgia for the PKU community. But I have also spent a lot of time working on medical nutrition access. So that's a very big passion of mine, making sure that everybody in the metabolic community has access to their formula. So that's given me the opportunity to meet people with all the various conditions. And I love that, which makes it extra. I feel very grateful to work at Flok because I'm excited that we're really sort of expanding our focus to other conditions as well. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So I'm going to get started. If I can move my slides forward, there we go. Why do birds of a feather flock together? So National PKU News became Flok in 2023 to add a new dimension to our 35 years of service. Our mission is to rally the metabolic community to continuously improve care and accelerate research. We're about both support and progress, compassion and commitment to a better future. And we chose the name Flok because creatures come together in a flock for protection and to go somewhere. And that is really, you know, as Kristen very beautifully said, we all need connection in this community and we all need people to support us. And I think we also all feel somewhat of an urgency for progress in the care and treatments of our conditions. And so that's really what you know, the name and our new mission is designed to exhibit, is really how we can all work together in this community to make progress for all of us. When I talk about the urgency, it's partly because when we look at inborn errors of metabolism, and specifically those on a low protein diet, but this really applies to all of them. There are no clinical care networks. There's no clinical registries. There are very limited long-term longitudinal data. We have it in a couple disorders. There's no dedicated centers of research. As Kristen mentioned in talking about medical nutrition, access to dietary treatment for those who need it is not guaranteed. We have many patients who are lost to care, whether that's follow-up or we've lost them, you know, as members of our community. For those who do have access to dietary treatment, diet is not a cure. It's a way that, you know, we manage symptoms. And part of the reason that we don't have a full understanding of these disorders is because we're looking at specific biomarkers and not looking at the whole health of the individual. And lastly, the population of those with these conditions is aging, and we really don't understand what it will look like. We're fortunate that the population is aging and able to survive longer lifespans, but we really don't know what it looks like for them as they get into the later years. We like to say at best, we look like cystic fibrosis in the 1960s, but with less money. And so our goal was to change that, because as patients and families, we're not satisfied with the standard of and access to care. We're concerned about the slow pace of progress. We're concerned about the rush to use data on rare disease patients without really taking into consideration the needs and wants of those patients. We're concerned about clinical trials and treatment safety. We want successful trials that complete, that are safe, and that really drive the science forward. And we're concerned about our future. And so at Flok, we're dedicated to enhancing care and well-being while accelerating research and therapeutic development. And we serve all inherited disorders of protein metabolism: PKU, classical HCU, MSUD, tyrosinemia, urea cycle disorders, and the organic acidemias that specifically have errors in protein metabolism. As all of you know, these are all rare and underrepresented populations. There's a total of 14 genetic disorders within this grouping of 6 main conditions. There's a range of expressions and outcomes across all of these conditions. And we estimate that in total, there's about 50,000 patients in these conditions in the United States. So still, even when we band together, still a fairly small population. So for Flok, success looks like we as a community, not the organization, but all of us, all the members of this community, have the tools, data, and relationships necessary to manage our care, that we can stage a revolution in data science of these conditions by making sure that data on the lived experience is available to researchers and to industry so they understand what we need as they're developing treatments. And then we put our data to work to accelerate and improve the treatment and care of all inborn errors of protein metabolism. So I'm going to talk about the Flok app, which some of you may have heard of. Will launch this year, so you're sort of getting a preview, but there is a way to sign up to be a tester, which I'll talk a little bit about. And then Kristen's going to talk a little bit about our community support initiatives, which, like all of our programs, are open to everyone in this community. So the Flok app is really, when we talk about having the tools and resources we need, that's what the app is designed to do. It is designed for patients and caregivers to manage their health. And so for those of you who have heard about How Much Fee, which is a fairly PKU specific dietary management tool, the Flok app will replace that. That will go away probably at the end of 2024, but there'll be a way to transition into the Flok app. And that all the dietary management pieces of that service are in Flok. But Flok is about a lot more than that, and than just diet. So I'll go into the details of that, but it serves all of these conditions I've talked about. You'll see on the screen, if you select organic acidemias, on the next screen, it asks you to specify which organic acidemia. So we have a little more information about your condition. A couple important things. This is a native app on iPhone and Android, which means it will be available in the App Store once it's released. And then it allows users to opt in to contribute their data to research. A couple of points are, it is not required to be a part of research. It's our job to convince you that sharing your data with the Flok research platform will be helpful to the community and to you ultimately, but it is not a requirement. The app is free to download and free to use as well. So I'm going to go through the 4 main sections of the app. You'll see down here, they are eat, feel, move, and play. So for those people who track their diet, whether they track protein, or this is an example of someone who tracks phenylalanine, a PKU profile, there's a database of more than 10,000 foods with all the relevant amino acid data available. And so you can search foods, and there's a few different ways to track foods, whether you put in, I ate 1 container of yogurt or 200 grams of yogurt, and add that to your log, or there's a really easy way to just sort of swipe down, tap a couple times, and if you wish, add a picture. In this case, this is a Blaze pizza, so a fairly low protein pizza that might be acceptable for the diet. And this is a way to make it as easy as possible for people to create diet records if and when they want to. There may be some people who are not tracking their diet or are doing it in their heads or doing it on paper. That's fine. Every section of the app is sort of standalone. You don't need to use one to use the other. So if eat is important to you or you need to create a diet record, that's there, and really has some pretty exciting features that make it easy to track your diet. Feel is my favorite section, mostly because I love all these faces, but feel is really something we developed because when individuals go to their clinic and a dietitian says, so how have you been feeling for the past 6 months? The ability to A, remember, and B, relate to your clinician how you've been feeling for the past 3 or 6 months is practically impossible. But if you record each day or even each week what's been going on, whether it's your moods or symptoms you've been having, all of this goes into the Flok app, and A, you can see it and review it and sort of look at your own health patterns, but you can also export it and create a really nice PDF that goes to your clinic to sort of share how you're doing and help inform that discussion with your clinic. We may integrate electronic health records in the future. That is a potential. And there's also the option for integrations like a home amino acid monitor. They're looking at them in HCU and MSUD and PKU, the ability to, essentially take a lab test at home and have it sync into Flok is a potential, feature we may develop. If you look over here on the right, you can add, in addition to sort of moods and symptoms, any other lab values or notes or medications. Then it might be important for your metabolic physician to know, even if it is not specific to, your metabolic care, because then they know everything that's going on in your health picture and not sort of what you're able to share in those few minutes that we all have in clinic. Move is about a couple of things. One is just tracking activity. If you have an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, you can connect it to the app and track your activity. That includes sleep data, steps, calories burned. If you record your food, it will show you net calories. So effectively, based on your intake and then the calories you burn, the net calories for the day. There's also some additional data that comes off of an Apple Watch or a Fitbit that we can use in the research platform. Some of that is heart rate. Some have temperature devices, heart rate variability. A lot of that has shown to be very important in predicting symptoms, not necessarily yet in metabolic disease, but we believe that a lot of those same things that have worked in other conditions will show signal in the metabolic conditions. And we can start to understand what it means when someone's heart rate is varying more. Is that a corollary to a rising ammonia level, for example, in a urea cycle disorder? And with additional data, the more people who opt in to share their data for research, the easier it will be to build those models. The other part of this is just about fun. We'll have challenges. So when we launch, there'll just be a monthly challenge where you can opt in and sort of contribute your steps. We'll be able to show the total distance that the flock has walked. You may be able to see where people are on a map, whether it's everyone in the larger flock or individuals in the organic acidemia community. That's not going to have personally identifiable information, but just looking at this and seeing that, you're part of this larger group who is engaged in this is one of the features that, when we talk about being part of a community and supporting each other, is just a very small sort of marker of that engagement with the community. Play is also about fun. It's about getting you to come back and use the app and engage and share your, sort of record the data so that you can understand your health. But it's also about just having a chance to enjoy yourself and focus on something that's fun, engage with the community. We will probably have events and news and sort of other ways to connect with the community in real life in the play section. The play section is still under development. So right now in the beta version of the app, it is not active. Just a note, there's no direct person-to-person communications through the app. So you won't be able to friend someone and chat with them or any of that. That's a whole additional layer of complication and security that is not available. This is a quote from an adult with a metabolic condition, which I think speaks to, one of the things I said about using this tool as a way to communicate with your clinicians. So when I get a call from my dietitian, the first thing she says is, "Why do you think your levels are high?" And I feel like she's blaming me and it's my fault, and I shut down. But if she had a report that showed that I haven't been sleeping well, that I've been sick or had headaches, and that I've been training, she could say, "It looks like you've got a lot going on. No wonder your levels are high. Let's talk about it." Or, "You're burning way more calories than you're taking in. You might be catabolic. That could explain your levels being high." But without that information, the only question she can ask is, "Why do you think your levels are high?" Because she doesn't have any information. Providing that information to a clinician will help make that conversation better. And we hope, make it a more supportive and productive relationship. This is a preview of the reports that clinicians get. So this is a food record, moods and symptoms, and activity record. As in all things in this, if you want to share a report with your clinician, you can choose whether you want to share eat, feel, or move, or you can just share eat, you can just share feel, you can just share move. You have control over what goes out, and then you can email it directly to your clinician. In a lot of cases, they'll be able to attach this to your electronic health record. They don't have to do some of the diet record calculation because it's been done for them. So hopefully gives them a little more time to spend on focusing on care rather than sort of the administrative work. That is the section on the Flok app. If we have any questions on that, I'm happy to answer them now. If not, I sort of want to shift gears and have Kristen talk about our community support initiatives. You want to take it away, Kristen?
Sure. I'm happy to jump in.
And there are individual slides on each of these, so I'll remember to advance them.
Thank you, Sarah. So I love when people come together, and sometimes that's virtually like we are tonight, and sometimes it's in person. And so we're trying to really increase the opportunities in person this year. One thing that is new is that we're going to have an adult retreat. So that's for individuals 21 plus. There's spots for 30. For anyone in that age group with any of the inborn errors of metabolism. So we have rented a really nice sort of lodge facility at Washington Family Ranch, which is in Antelope, Oregon. This is where sort of the flagship Flok family camp that was run by PKU Northwest organization happens every year. And so this adult retreat we're really excited about. We're trying to make it as accessible as possible. So it's only $20 to register. And so that's lodging. We're going to the whole group is going to do some low protein cooking. We're going to make sure that we can accommodate, all different types of diets. And they're going to have an opportunity to sort of hang out, hike. There's all kinds of activities to do at this facility, like indoor recreation center. There's unlimited things, and a really nice location just to sit and chat and to get to know one another. So some people will likely have met before, and then there are others that will be brand new. So we're just really excited. So that's going to be 2 days at the end of May, just before the family camp in Oregon.
Yeah, is there like someone that facilitates the sessions or whatever that they're gonna?
So I will be on site along with Jen Beezer, who's the dietitian on the Flok team, and then probably another staff member as well. but it is really going to be facilitated by the adults themselves. So I am working with an adult with PKU who's been around the community for a long, long time. And he's helping me plan it. And then we're getting feedback. We're going to be getting sort of ideas from everyone who's registered on the type of topics they want to talk about. And so we'll have a itinerary that's, you know, somewhat structured of when the meals are, when you can do activities, when you can have group discussions. But really, we're going to let the group sort of drive what they, you know, what it is the best we can, you know.
Yeah, part of this came out, I mean, the design for this came out of a bunch of adults at MSUD, HCU, and PKU talking sort of late in the night one night at family camp last year, saying there are things we want to talk about as adults with these conditions that we don't necessarily want to talk about around younger children or the parents of younger children, because maybe those issues won't exist for them. Because it's how care was managed in the past, or maybe we just, you know, we want to remain hopeful and positive, but there are things we need to talk about, you know, struggles we face that no one else faces. And so part of this is sort of an approach to allowing a space for mental health and community support. And that's why it's sort of not over programmed. You know, I think we will have medical personnel on site. And I mean, I think if there's interest in learning about treatments or specific questions that people have about research, I think it would be interesting to maybe have, you know, one of our scientific advisors stop in and talk to them if they're interested. But again, it's mostly about that connection and community piece.
Yes, and we're also, there are 30 spots, and we're going to make sure that we reserve at least 10 for individuals with conditions other than PKU. And so at a minimum, we really want it, you know, at least 10 spots to be for other members of the community that may not have come to Oregon Camp or may not have had the opportunity to come to this event.
Have how many you have signed up right now for this?
We have, I think there's about 8 or 9 signed up.
But nobody with organic acidemia.
Nobody yet. So we would just love to.
Well, we have a young adult. We have a couple of, actually, they're sisters that live in Oregon, actually.
Oh, that would be amazing.
But I don't know if they're always on Facebook, so they might not have seen me. I was planning to put this in our newsletter as well, but I'm going to pass that, make sure that they know about it. Because, I mean, a lot of times people are more apt to go if it's close by versus spending money on the travel, you know.
Yes, that would be great. So they're, you know, welcome to reach out to me. I'm the main contact.
And they don't, I hate to use the word mild. They have propionic acidemia, and she's actually helping me. She's actually a dietitian herself. And believe it or not, she's not working it right now as a dietitian, but she worked with Sandy Valcalcar. So I'm hoping maybe we can get a few of our folks to attend this. So I'll try to get the word out more.
Thank you. That would be really fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So diving into the family camps. So on the West Coast, there's been a camp that's gone on about 20 years. This will be the 21st year at Washington Family Ranch in Oregon. And so the baton was passed from PKU Northwest, who took great care of this, created and took great care of this camp for a long, long time. And they passed it to PKU News. There were some similar people involved in both organizations a few years ago. And so now Flok coordinates this camp in collaboration with a whole committee of people that some were around a long time. So we're really excited to have this camp again. It's a Thursday afternoon through Sunday midday, May 30th to June 2nd. We had 250 campers last year and several different metabolic disorders represented, and we would love to increase that. So we would love to have anyone from the organic acidemia community join us for family camp in Oregon. We're adding a family camp on the East Coast. It's going to be in New Hampshire on a beautiful lake, weekend of September, same time frame, a Thursday afternoon through Sunday midday. And it's a little easier to get to because it's 2 hours from Boston. So hopefully, and also drivable to a lot of people, we're hoping as well. So we're shooting for at least 200 campers there, and we're just really excited. Okay, so yeah, at both camps, there's going to be things like, science night, Camp Olympics, small group discussions that are on topics that are, interesting to, or that the Flock community members are interested in. Crafts, there's always a really neat craft that we do. And then there's swimming, but the Oregon camp has a big pool with water slides, and the camp in New Hampshire is on a lake, and it has sailing and boating and lake swimming and that sort of thing. So lots of really great
Right.
things to do.
Well, remember Menta wanted to do this last year. She's gonna be at the SIMD GMDI too. So she's not always checking her email and stuff, but I'll make sure if she's planning to go that she needs to do it. Last year, I think she tried to get in and it was kind of a short deadline, but I'll make
Yeah, I
sure
think
she
we-
knows about it.
I think we talked about it. Well, SAMD was later. Was it later? Maybe
Earlier,
not.
earlier
It was
last.
earlier. Yeah, that's right. It was earlier last year. I
No,
don't
it
think we
was
were
the
quite
Abbott.
ready by then.
It was at the Abbott
It's at
conference.
Abbott. By Abbott, it was a little late. That's what I was remembering.
Right.
So yeah, we'll be there and we'll have camp information. It's open now for registration, but yeah, certainly.
Yeah,
Here's
both camps, registration's open, and we're gonna, again, just like the retreat, we're gonna have a whole range of protein allowances. So food for any kind of low protein diet or high protein diet or mid diet or whatever it is. We're gonna make sure we have food for everyone. And yeah, just a lot of fun, a lot of games, some silent disco at both camps. That's a popular, even for adults, or to do if they would like. So yeah, so if anybody's interested, we have a camp page that's accessible via our website, flok.org, and anyone is welcome to email me at our camp email address, camp@flok.org. So we'd love to have you. Hopefully by the end of this year, or the end of the fall, we'll have maybe brought together 500 people in person at camps, and then had that adult retreat. So that's exciting. And then last year, and was it the year before, Sarah, that Flock or PKU News hosted a virtual camp that had a lot of people. There were 600 people that registered last year, and that was people from all over the world. And of course, that's always nice because you don't have to travel for a virtual camp. And since we have all these in-person things going on sort of the summer and the fall, we're looking to move that virtual sort of camp symposium. We might change it up a little bit, probably February 2025, just to give us a little time and then have an opportunity for people to get together in the winter months. Yep. And then I don't know if everyone is familiar, but there's a Guthrie Koch scholarship that has been around in the PKU community for many, many years. And we have this year opened it up to anyone with any of the conditions, so metabolic conditions, and we're really excited about that. The period of application just closed out, but it will come around again next year, and that is for individuals that are going off to university or technical school, sort of those undergraduate type degrees can apply. And I love this. I just think it's a great program, and I love to see those that receive the scholarship just be celebrated, and for all the great things that they're doing and they've accomplished. So more to come there. And of course, Cook for Love, which is I love, right? Anybody on the low protein diet, I think there's a lot of people that find their way to Cook for Love. And yeah, so we're excited, and we're here for the organic academia community, however the community wants to participate. We'd love to have you, but of course we don't want to, replicate or, impact in any way the programs that your community already enjoys and has. But everybody's always welcome. Kathy and Karen, do you have any questions? And I think we have Isabel also.
No, thanks for giving the overview. I'm familiar with this. I don't think Karen was familiar with everything that you guys do. I don't know if a lot of our community, um, you know, because our kids are a lot more involved in taking the time to kind of find something like a camp that could fit our kids. I think sometimes they just don't think it's even out there. So just trying to, give people options. And then of course, you never know. y- People are kind of leery to sign up because maybe if their kid gets sick or, um, it's, but it's nice to have those options. And I'm continuously trying to share that and make parents aware that I think that we've learned a lot from the PKU community. I mean, from newborn screening I think that there's a lot of value there for our families. So,
Well, thank you. And we're always happy to take feedback, right? So, we're having this new camp. If there's things that you see about it that, oh, this would be really nice if you incorporated this, or if the location had this type of thing that would make people feel more comfortable. Those types of things we would love to hear, because as we sort of design programs in the years ahead, we really want
well,
them
we've
to work
got
for
kids that
everyone.
are tube fed and stuff like that, and obviously this is a family camp, so the parents, it's not like they're just dropping their kids off, and the parents are going to be there. So the comfort level, of being able to, you know, a parent to do that in front of a group of PKU kids or other kids, I think you got to get past that if you want the experience of what they can learn and benefit from being with others that are similar. So,
Yeah, and our hope is that, I mean, it will start slowly. Like you said, people need to get used to it and understand what Flock is and really feel comfortable with it. But our hope is if we can get one or two families to come who feel comfortable, then they can share with other families. And they can also, as Kristen said, share their feedback with us so we can make it a better experience for everyone. It hopefully it will grow and grow.
right. Well, we've just never had, even the camp that Rainey Singh does in Georgia has, I think she has had a couple of proprionics that have tended that were her patients. But we've just never really had the opportunity, to be a part of a camp type experience. So I appreciate you, you know, adding our community because I think there's definitely families that are, whether it be younger kids or even the adults, and you got that retreat, the adult retreat. I think that's awesome that the adults can get together and share their experiences.
I think it's great too. Actually, my son does go to camp. He goes to Camp Friendship. What it's Friendship Ventures, I think it's called now, but he has been since he's been 7 years old. And
Wow.
he's 35 now, but it takes a lot just to pack them up for a week. And they do have nurses. Do you have that as well at yours?
We do. We have sort of a required minimum based on the number of people, but particularly as we diversify, I think we're going to bring in additional medical personnel. I mean, there's always a nurse there. We have at least two doctors who come to camp to talk and participate, so they're there and they're metabolic specialists, but aren't necessarily on call. But we have that nurse who's available all the time, and I think as we look at the registrations, if there are more people who would feel more comfortable with additional medical personnel, we'll bring those in.
Yeah.
Because that's certainly, you don't want to go off for a fun weekend filled with anxiety. Like that's, and
Yeah.
and we all understand that to some extent, whether, even just, on the diet or making sure you have the medications you need on down to making sure that you can, set up tube feeds and feel comfortable with that. There's a range of it, but I think we all understand that to some extent and have to make sure that the full range of people feel like we have the services they need.
Absolutely.
And kids just want to have fun, right? I mean, they're there to have fun.
Exactly. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and just, knowing that somebody else also has a rare metabolic disease or disorder, makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite thing, well, I have many favorite things about camp, but one of them is my 10-year-old has PKU, but my 14-year-old doesn't. And now the 14-year-old has a bunch of teenage friends who have PKU because she went to camp with us. So now it's not just this thing her sister has, but something she understands with a different level of empathy just because her teenage friends have it and have to deal with some of the same issues that her sister does. And so bringing the families together in that way, I think, in addition to just sharing tips and understanding how other people manage things is incredibly helpful. But I love that part of it where you can sort of see things from a slightly different angle.
Mm-hmm. And in incorporating the mobile app, I mean, kids are younger and younger on their phones.
Yep.
And being able to start that management, self-management early on, I think is real smart too. So I think the app's going to be successful when are you planning to roll that out?
So yeah, it's in a beta period now, which just means we're sort of inviting people. It's not completely done, but you can use it and test it and give us feedback. So people can sign up at flok.org. There's a link that says, join the beta. My sense is that we're going to start sort of bringing more and more people in the next sort of month, 6 weeks. And my goal is that by mid-year, we've sort of got a product that we're ready to put in the App Store and we'll be open and available to download for everyone. So
how
hopefully,
many would you say you have right now on the beta?
we've got about 50 people using it. I think the number of people using it really rigorously is much smaller, but we have a list of sort of 350, 400 people who have said they want to be beta testers, and we're going to be bringing in to make sure we have, kids, caregivers, teenagers, adults across all the conditions, so we can make sure that we're not just catering to one really enthusiastic group, but making sure that we've got a good group of testers in that beta period. And once we're there, there'll certainly be bugs. There always are, but we'll work them out and then move towards having it fully online and available in the App Store.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for always
Great.
paving the way for us. The PKU.
Well, thanks for joining us. As Kristen says, the community is the most important thing, these connections. So
Yeah. And I know,
We're
Kathy,
happy.
you've been around a long time supporting people, because I remember your name when Joe was very young. And so I'm very happy to be back and sort of getting to know you again and collaborating. So
Yeah, well, me and Karen go back too. Her son
Right.
is the same age as my daughter, 35. We've
Yeah.
been doing this for 35 years.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for paving the
Yeah.
way.
yeah, it's great. Wow, that's wonderful. You all have been friends and doing this so long together. I love
Mhm.
that.
Well, we will probably see you guys next month then.
Yep. We will
Sounds good.
see you in
All right.
Charlotte.
Thanks for sharing
right.
this, and I'll post this in our group and others can watch and listen to it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Karen. Thanks.
Mhm.
Bye.